Hello, everyone. So I am joined with the amazing Dylan Fraser today. Thankfully, my voice has come back because I did lose it. It's still on the ropes. Dylan, if you didn't know, is well, you don't really have a genre. It's a mixture of genres,
Yeah.
like alt
Can't stick to
pop,
one.
yeah, kind of indie but folk in some places. He is on his final date supporting Inhaler on their UK tour, so I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that. But first of all, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit knackered because I've been on tour for the past 2 weeks, but it's been so fun. But I'm ready to go back to my own bed. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
So, not to be too cliche, but start from the beginning. Not to be like, how did you get into music? But what's your first memory of music? Because for me, I can remember seeing like an Arctic Monkeys music video on TV, and
Yeah.
that's like my first memory. So, what's your first Was there an album your parents played or?
My first memory of music was the Katie Tunstall album "Eye to the Telescope." Solely because my mum used to play that in the car when I was really young. There's videos of me, old videos of me singing. I think "Suddenly I See" in the back seat of my mum's car. So I would say that one is my first. Every time I think of it, because actually weirdly I've been doing live streams on Instagram recently with other creatives and artists, and that's a question I've been asking them, what is your first memory of music? Do you have that one album? Because for me, it's always been that Katie Tunstall one.
So, when did you realise that your ambition was becoming more serious? Like, when did you start picking up a following and stuff like that?
I think I'd always been interested in music and doing and singing and playing guitar and stuff, but I'd say I got my first guitar when I was 11 or 12 because my mum used to play in bands in high school just with her friends and stuff. So she handed me down a guitar of hers and taught me my first four chords. And then I started writing random little bits from there on. And then I started posting covers online in I think maybe 2013, 2014, and started to grow a bit of a following from there and just kept going with that, and then started writing my own stuff, and getting more into the songwriting side of things, and yeah.
And so, what was the first song that you wrote?
First song I wrote was a track called Expectations, and it was very deep. I was 12, and it was really deep for a 12-year-old. It was about not living up to the world's expectations and doing your own thing. And I think I still write a lot about that kind of thing in my music today, the world and how it's a bit fucked up. So yeah, that was my first one.
And what's your writing process like? Do you sit in a specific place or work with certain people? Or?
Yes, I work with one guy called Jonah Summerfield, and I keep my circle very small when I'm in the studio. And my process usually starts back at home in Scotland in my bedroom. I will start writing random bits like verses or choruses or chords, whatever it is. But I think for me, what I've realised in the past year with my process has changed. I need a lot of time to create a project or create an EP or whatever it is. I don't know, I just need that space, and I think lockdown kind of gave me that space to do that. And I tend to not actually sit down and write a song that much. I'm not one of these people that can write a song every single day. It just doesn't. It's not productive for me, and I feel like I don't get my best work if I try to force myself to do it. So I tend to, like I said, collect a bunch of voice memos and lyrics and random bits here and there, and then randomly I'll have these creative bursts, maybe a week or two, and the project, whatever I'm working on, will just come out somehow. And I think it's just taking that time to collect all these bits, and then they start to all merge together at some point.
So, your latest EP, The World Isn't Big When You Know How It Works, it's been out for nearly 2 months now, so how's the response been to that?
It's been so good. I was kind of terrified to put it out because there's some songs in it that are just a bit different to what I've released. Some are more intimate, some of them are a bit weirder. But I just love that body of work. It's my favourite to date. And I was just really excited to get it out. And the response has been so nice. Everyone has been really, really cool about it and really sweet. So I've seen a bunch of nice comments. I've been talking with a bunch of people I've got a Discord chat that I chat with a bunch of people. Yeah, so everyone's just been really nice. I've done a listening party. I remember when it came out at midnight, which was a bit of a shit show. I was trying to do it on Discord and I couldn't get they have these like bots on Discord that play music because it had just been released, it wasn't on any of that yet. So I was like, right, everyone has to press play on Spotify at the same time, and we have to do a listening party that way. So it was a bit of a shit show listening party, but it was really, really fun, and everyone was really nice. So.
And how's your reaction been to people like Elton John, like, you know, recognising who you are and hearing your songs on the radio and things like that?
It's been mad. I like remember when I didn't even know that Elton John was going to be playing my track, and I randomly saw, I think some like Elton John fan page like commented on my YouTube or something. Like, I can't remember what they said, like, heard this from Elton John, or these tracks are going to be on Elton John's radio station this week. I remember I was just like in like the living room of my house, and I just went, what the fuck? My parents like ran through and were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I was like, Elton John's playing my song on the radio, like, this is so cool. And then you've always got like Annie Mac and like Jack Saunders and Zane Lowe and these people, and I've grown up like listening to the radio and hearing these people's voices, so then to hear them like saying my name and then playing my song has just been very like surreal.
And obviously with lockdown and everything like that, how was the like writing, the production like with this EP? Was it different to your first one, Storm?
Yeah, I mean, really different because I couldn't be in the studio. My producer lives in London and I obviously still live in Scotland. So when lockdown first happened, obviously no one could travel anywhere. So we were both stuck at opposite ends of the country. And we had to find kind of new ways to do things. There was a lot of like FaceTime sessions and Zoom sessions. Which honestly I fucking hate. Like, it just takes so much longer to do like the simplest of things that me and Jonah could literally do in 2 seconds in the studio. It takes like an hour to do over Zoom. But we made it work and we recorded most of the EP over Zoom, and then we finally managed to get back in the studio to like finish everything off. But it was definitely an experience, one that I would like to never do again if possible. But I think it was also like made our like relationship stronger in that way because we had to find like new creative ways to still make it work.
And it shows that you're determined as an artist if you keep wanting to make music in those times and such like that. So who are your music inspirations? Because like I said at the beginning, you don't really fit into a genre, so I'm sure there must be quite a range of inspirations in your music.
Yeah, I have many. Like, I just listen to so many different genres, but I think the main ones that always stick with me for some reason are Radiohead and 9 Inch Nails and Lord. Joni Mitchell has also been a big one recently. I'd say they're kind of my main influences in terms of like, and Kanye West, honestly. Like, I think that they always just push the boundaries with what they do, whether it's within songwriting or melody or chords, or whether it's within like the production that they use. They're always just trying to like strive for new things, and I just think that's really cool. And they're the kind of artists that if they're releasing a new album, you want to stay up till midnight to hear it, just because you have no idea what it's going to sound like at all, because they never give you the same thing and they're never predictable. And that's my favourite kind of artist, because that's what, as a fan of music, that's what excites me the most, because I'm like, I'm so excited for this new Radiohead or Lord album, because they've not released in like 5 years, and I've got no idea what it's going to sound like. So I think I don't really think about that when I'm making the music, but I think I do want to be that kind of artist where people never expect something from me. Yeah.
And obviously, Kanye and Lord have released new stuff recently. What's your opinion on their new albums? Do you like it?
I really like the new Lord album. On first listen, because it was so different, I was like, oh, this is really different. I don't not like it. I don't know if I love it either, but the more, I think sometimes you have to, like, some of my favourite albums I didn't like on first listen, and now they're like some of my all-time favourite albums the more I listen. So I think it was one of those ones, it kind of just grew on me, and now I really love it, and I think it's a really cool move. And as for Donda, I actually have not managed to listen to it in full yet. So I need to sit down and properly listen.
Yes, you don't want to like waste it and just half-ass listen to it. You want to like give it its full attention.
I think recently I've just not had like the time to sit down. I think it's like 23 songs or something, so it's quite intense. Like, sit down, listen. I've just been really busy, so I think I've got like a week off, or maybe like 4 days back home after tour, so I can sit down and listen to catch up on some bits.
So what do you aim for when you're making new music, or is it like a range of things? So is it like the different sounds or the way you deliver lyrics? Because in some songs you say that like the lyrics are quite a lot faster, like almost rapping, or is it the lyrics themselves? Like, what do you like to play around with the most?
I think just everything. I think I'm constantly just looking to experiment and try new things. For me, not to prove anything to anyone else, really, just because it enjoys me. Like being able to, like I enjoy being able to push the boundaries in terms of genre and stuff like that. And I love so many genres, and I get influence from so many different artists and different creatives. And I think I just always like to like have like an indie song, but like with a bit more of like a, like you said, a faster, almost spoken verse that could you could maybe relate to like rap and hip hop music. I don't know. I think I'm just like learning as I go and experimenting and still growing as a person and as an artist and with my sound. So I think I just go in and I'm like, I just want to try a bunch of random stuff. And sometimes I'll be like to Jonah, why don't we just like add this here and see what happens? And sometimes it's absolutely shit and we're like, no, take that out. And sometimes it works. And I think it's literally just me and Jonah having fun in the studio and seeing what we can
A
do.
lot of people put too much pressure on what they do, but it's good to hear that. So obviously you're from a small town in Scotland. So how has that influenced your music? And like, did you have to travel to London quite a lot when you were younger to do stuff?
I think growing up in a small town, I think the one thing that I can give it credit for is the amount of space that I had. I was a bit of a loner, like a bit of an introvert in high school. I didn't have many friends, and I think I kind of grew up on the internet. I had lots of friends online that I could relate to and that were maybe doing music as well or doing like creative stuff. So it was kind of like a safe space for me. So I think I spent a lot of time on the internet, which is where I discovered a lot of my music. So I think having that space and literally being in my bedroom in Scotland as a kid, like finding all these American artists and artists from like all over the world, and I think that really like helped me discover different kinds of music. So I think like that space in the small town really helped. And then I didn't start coming to London until I was probably like 17, 16, 17. So for a long time I was kind of disconnected from the music industry. I didn't really know what the music industry was.
Um, so your album artwork, even like your Instagram feed, is always just really visually striking. So is this something that like comes quite naturally? You can visualize something straight away, or do you like to plan it out a lot, or how much involvement do you even have with all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm like 100% involved with everything creative that I do. And visual art is always something that I've just loved. And I have these weird ideas, like when I'm in the studio and I write a line, I know what it's going to look like. I can sometimes see what it looks like as a visual, whether it's a music video or like an artwork or whatever. And yeah, I just like have these crazy ideas floating around my head that I want to like get out. And I just love like that. One, I get to write the music, but then, and you get to create your own little world with that, but then you get to create this whole like visual world. And I just like being able to like almost escape from reality a bit and make these kind of like weird, far-fetched worlds around the music. And it's just a whole new like chapter to the story as well. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Like when I remember when I was like 12 or 13, I had like an edits page on Instagram where I would like take my own photos and like do these like photo edits, and I think you can, that's kind of what I think you can still see that kind of like conceptual photography aspect in the artworks that I do today. And I work with Daisy King and Ed Tritton on my artworks, and we just have this, it's super fun. It's like my favourite part, just being able to have this like collaborative process and make these like weird trippy worlds.
So again, like I said at the beginning, you're on your final date of tour with Inhaler. So how has this been? Like, you obviously performed at Glasgow the other day, so what was that response like?
It was crazy. It's been crazy to even be allowed on this tour. I still feel like a bit of an imposter. But yeah, I'm super grateful to the Inhaler boys for having me on tour. It's just been really fun to like hang out with other musicians and creatives, especially after like the year we've had with COVID. It's kind of been hard to do that sometimes. So it's been fun to like hang with everyone backstage, and obviously Wet Leg are on this tour as well, and I love them. and it's just been really good vibes. And I obviously, yeah, played Glasgow the other day. We played the Barrowlands, which is like an iconic venue in Scotland. So I was well buzzing for that. My family came down. And it was just a really good show. Scottish crowds are always amazing. It's always good to be back as well. But they just have this like energy about them, and they really champion like other Scottish artists, which is really nice. So they're always up for it, which is fun.
So would you say that's been the standout night, or is there not really a standout night that there's been?
I think it's definitely one of the standout nights. To be honest, like it's really hard to pick a favourite because every single night has been good, and sometimes when you're the support act, it's not always like that because people are obviously there to see the main band, and so some people don't come for the support act, some people do, but every single night there's always been people there, and the room has always been pretty busy for like the first support act on as well, which has been really nice. Their supporters are just like really up for it, and I think genuinely enjoy live music and enjoy discovering new stuff. So yeah, it's been so much fun.
And so you played your first ever festival as well recently. Was it Neighbourhood Weekend? Yeah, how was that?
That was it was really fun when I was on stage. It was stressful as fuck before I went on because we had some like technical issues, like sound issues, and like then there was people like coming in the tent and we were still trying to like sound check, and I was like, fuck, what are we gonna do? But in the end it was fine. We had a few technical issues, but I don't think it was noticeable. It was just really fun, and it was like fun to get out there. That was my first show with the band. We'd been rehearsing, but we hadn't done like an actual live show yet, so it was terrifying, but it was really fun. And again, everyone's just been really nice. I don't know what it is this year. I think maybe it's because we've been locked down, but everyone is just like up for music again and up for live music and going to shows just to like discover new stuff, even if they don't know who it is that's playing. Like people didn't know who I was, but they still showed up just to come and see what was going on. So that's been really good, I think.
Did you see anyone whilst you were at that festival, or what gigs have you been to since everything's opened back up?
I got a chance to see Alfie Templeman at Neighbourhood, which was sick. I really love him. I think he's super nice guy as well. So we got to see a bit of his set, but then we had to shoot off because we supported Blossoms like a month and a half ago maybe. That was also really fun. That was in Leicester. So I got to do a few test gigs like before we went fully in on the Inhaler tour. So yeah, we've done a few bits here and there. That's been really fun.
So I guess nobody's really talking about it, so I wanted to ask, so with this new pressure of COVID, do you feel cautious all the time that you and like your crew are definitely not testing positive? Because obviously that wasn't a stress before, so is it this new added pressure? Because I imagine gigs are stressful enough, so...
It's definitely like, that was one of our fears coming on tour, was like, we just want to make sure everyone can stay safe and test negative. So we've been doing our tests like every day before shows, and I think there's also a lot of like colds going around right now as well that aren't COVID. So we've also been scared of that, and like people catching
freshest flu in every city
yeah,
that you go to.
Exactly. I had it like before tour, and like I remember my tour manager Matt had like a blocked nose and stuff, and I'm like, I feel like fuck, he's got COVID, we're gonna have to leave. But it wasn't, like he's testing negative, it wasn't COVID, he's fine now. I think it was literally just like a little cold. So it's been a worry, but I think everyone's just like taking the like precautions where they can. And I think we've just got to get on with it and hope for the best and hope that we don't catch it. But then if anyone does, like make sure obviously you're honest about it and you get them off the tour and all that kind of thing. But it is terrifying, but I think it's good that stuff is opening back up again, and fingers crossed like the vaccine is going to continue to keep us going.
A bit more or less about like your own music and stuff, but like what's your favourite album of all time? Is the one that sticks out?
Oh.
I like top 3 if you can't think of one.
Okay.
You can have a minute to think.
I think I can do top 3.
Yeah? You don't want to commit to one?
I don't know if I can commit to one. That's really hard. I think my top 3 albums of all time is...
Throwing you into the deep end. I apologise.
A Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. Melodrama by Lord. and this is really hard. I'm trying to like think of one that's like really stands out for me. I would say, I think I'm gonna butcher this name, Hydra by Joni Mitchell. Hydra, something like that.
What would be your dream festival lineup? So you've got like 3 headliners, can be dead or alive. Who are you putting on your dream fest? Like it's just you creating this festival.
Radiohead.
Yeah.
I say that for everything. So I've not had the chance to see them
Yeah.
live yet. I really want to see them.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails, solely because of their Woodstock performance in like I think it's like 1994. They're like covered in mud and it just looks like such.
It should be like redo that exact performance.
Exact performance because it just looks like the most wild, insane thing that I've ever seen in my life, and it just looks so fun. So I think that.
So what's your go-to karaoke song if you were to be in a karaoke bar? What you sing?
My go-to is No Shoes by Paolo Nutini. It's just like a song that I loved growing up and like would always sing like with my guitar. So I think I usually go for that one.
What is your go-to Netflix show on the road, say?
So I'm actually not a big. I'm more TV than movies. I'm not a big
Yeah.
movie guy at all. Like, I just don't have the attention span to sit through it. So I usually like end up watching YouTube because it's like quick, concise, like bits of content.
Yeah.
But I do love a lot of stuff on Netflix. I really like murder documentaries, like the really dark stuff. Like I love like Don't Fuck with Cats and like all those really like weird ones. There's this one called like Killer Women that I watched the other day, which was pretty good. And then I love the like like the house shows
Yes.
where they show you like I love like $1 Million List in LA. And like yeah, no, I love that. I just love seeing these like huge, amazing homes that people are like selling. So I think those ones are like my favourite.
Well, people wouldn't have known that, but now they do.
I like the shit stuff basically, like the trash TVs, the stuff. Because I don't have to think about anything. It's not like I don't have to like follow a script or really follow what's going on. It's just like shit telly, and I think that's why I like it.
Any upcoming artists or bands that people should know about that you want to shout out?
Many. Right now I'm really loving this girl called Dora Jaw. I think she's awesome. She released a EP called Digital Meadow, I believe, which is really, really good. I think you should check that out. Do you know what? Let me bring up my playlist because I've got more that I want to say. There's this girl called Samia that I just actually collabed with on my recent EP. She's got an album. Yeah, she's got an album called The Baby, which is one of my favourites in 2020. Lump just released a new album called Animal, and that's one of my favourite albums of this year already. Who else have I got?
Decisions.
Obviously, Wet Leg, Wolf Alice. I'm loving Bristol Maroney right now. There's this. I think they're a duo called Smells. It's like electronic, like weird stuff. I really like that. Love Sorry Band, X-Ray, so many.
Yeah. So what do you like to do in your spare time apart from music, or is music just like really full on?
I would say music is like the biggest thing in my life, and I think about it most of the time. I don't really find much time to do other stuff because I love it so much, and obviously it's my job, but it doesn't feel like a job. Like it's a dream job for me, so I still really enjoy it and haven't lost like that love for it. But I like to, more recently again, I've like picked up like painting and doing like art stuff again. I found that it really helped like my anxiety during lockdown, like just to take that time out, like put like a record on and like draw or paint and stuff, and like for a few hours I could just like forget about anything that I had to do. So I would say that.
Is that one of the things that you do to de-stress? Is there anything else when it all gets too much?
I like to go for a walk, still listening to music though, like on the walk, and just like de-stress that way. Yeah, or just like sometimes it's nice to just like spend time with friends and family and just like not focus on music and work for a bit.
So just today, you're releasing the stripped version of "That's Just Life," which is actually, I'd say, maybe my favourite on CP. I don't know, I really like it. So do you enjoy releasing more stripped back stuff? Because obviously, like, I don't know, usually the sounds are just so like out there that sometimes you don't focus on just the lyrics. So is it cool to like release stripped down versions of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's nice to do stripped back stuff sometimes. I think live it's nice to obviously do it how it's meant to be done with like the full band and like really go for it. But I think it's nice to do a stripped back with That's Just Life because I feel like it's kind of one of the like main tracks off of, even though it wasn't a single, I still think it's one of the like defining songs of the project for me, and it's how I got the EP title because I started writing the first verse and I just randomly said the world isn't big when you know how it works, and I was like, what the fuck does this mean? This sounds really cool though. I'm gonna make this the EP title. So I think, and I love the lyrics in that song because weirdly it's almost like the lyrics are very pessimistic, but it's also a hopeful track at the same time because it's kind of being like, yeah, it is a bit shit sometimes, and you know what? Like we're not always treated fairly and in life and all this kind of stuff, but like that's just life, and we're only here for a certain amount of time, and at some point we've just got to get on with it and deal with it and find our own ways to cope with it and maneuver this like shit show that is planet Earth, you know. So I think it was nice to do like a sort of piano version of it, just so the lyrics can really like shine.
And so finally, what's next for you? Have you got a BBC introducing gig coming up? Are you looking forward to that? And what else are you going to be up to?
I've got a BBC introducing gig at the Lexington in London on November 4th, so come if you live near London. I'm really excited for that one. I think we may play some new tracks. I've been in the studio. I've got my next 2 projects basically ready to go. Just need to finish some like production bits. And it's genuinely my favourite stuff I've ever done, so I'm so excited to release that. So hopefully new music very soon. Yeah, just back in the studio. I'm back in the studio next week to work on the next music.
Does stuff just take quite a long time to finally get out, and it's kind of frustrating?
Yeah, I mean, I started writing the EP that I just released in the first lockdown in 2020. So, and I only just released it now. So it's been over a year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just kept writing throughout COVID and throughout the lockdown. So I just have a back catalogue of like a bunch of stuff that's like ready to go. So yeah, I think hopefully more shows. Really want to do more festivals next year. Just keep going with everything that I'm doing really, and connecting with a bunch of new people and creatives. And I really want to work with a bunch of new creatives over the next year as well, and like collaborate and find new ways to do stuff. So yeah, that's what's coming up.
Cool. Well, thanks for chatting with me today in Premier Inn, but very fancy. Yeah. Unless there's anything else you want to add, but
no, thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
And I look forward to seeing your set tonight.